Good morning. How's
Good morning.
everybody?
Good morning.
Boy, so we've got to the last hill here. We've made it to the end. Congratulations.
You survived, Dr. Lamb.
You survived me. Oh God. You'll be scarred for life though. I can tell you that right now. You'll have PTSD. All right. Thank you for joining me this morning. I don't want to keep us all day, so I'm gonna dive right in. First thing I want to share with you, and let's see if Andrew's here. So other than me and Andrew, but really it's not so much about, in my opinion, this is not about so much about gender as it is about being new. But this article is written from the perspective of gender, or the chapter in the book. This is from Bowman and Deal, and it talks about the glass cliff. And that's how I wanted to kind of kick off the morning here. I'll let Bishop Jakes pray for us in a few minutes when we get to his video. I don't want to double dose you on religion today. Um, but I have argued this forever, that one of the ways that we really don't do our business any favors is we make our newest and least capable leaders, we give them the worst jobs. We let everybody else transfer that's been in to the better jobs. And so what happens is when we hire, especially women, it's called the glass cliff, and we hire them in a very high risk and low probability of being successful job. Um, and so one of my students did a PowerPoint on her chapter. Let me share that with you. This is from Karis. Karis is director of EC in Hope County. I think I might have mentioned her yesterday. Let me get out of that. Let me get here. Reframing organizations. And here are some things that um, a review of leadership theories over time. We won't go through any of that. Leadership is an activity, not a position. Y'all know those things and different types. Do men and women lead differently? Um, they're not dramatically different. Women, of course, are smarter. They've scored higher in charisma, inspiration, and intellect. Um, um, not significant, not a lot of difference, but a lot of companies with women in senior management perform better. But the problem is the glass ceiling and the glass cliff. A lot of women never get that opportunity. Um, but and because to even get to the glass ceiling, because their first job is usually a career killer. Um, and so in our business, the real problem here, and I'll stop my share so I'll show you that this is not something this is written about quite frequently, is and in reality, your first job is going to be in the slaughterhouse unless you just, unless you just get the luck, unless you get the luck. Um, and people say, well, the assistant principal opening is over here at this good school. Well, yeah, but one that's not at a good school, will pitch a fit and try to transfer over there. And so generally what happens is getting your first AP job is really hard and you'll get not a good place. But principal jobs, almost always you get the low wealth, high poverty, low performing, um, Title I type place. That's very high risk for you to make it. You need to know that going in. Now, what you say, well, just because I know it, how's that going to help me to become? Well, as Reverend Jakes is going to talk about, you're going to have to try to build your own team. That's the only way you're going to survive. You got to build your own team. That's my thesis. The only way to survive that is to build your own team, and to be able to classify and categorize people is either confidants, constituents, or comrades. Knowing, being able to assess the other people around you and to figure out which ones that you need to pull in closest, or that you need to coalesce with, or which ones are just enemies of your enemies. If you can't build a team, in these really high risk situations, you will not survive. You can't be the Lone Ranger. You can't come in with guns blazing and get everybody. You won't survive it. You just won't. The only way is to try to build a team, and you can't just pick people randomly. They'll be on your team, but you got to know what role they're in. You got to know what your relationship and what their relationship to the organization is. That's the only way. I'm going to let Dr. Neal. Dr. Neal's she did a tour of duty going around to these places with these um, doing principal coaching, and we'll let her speak to, give the other side of them, or she can tell the counterpoint if she believes that I'm just completely wrong here this morning.
Yeah, building your team is important. Just you don't always get that opportunity. At the beginning, it takes time, but the schools that I saw that were successful were the ones where the principal, a new principal came in and they were able to pick and choose folks that were on the same, the best way to say it's kind of like on the same wavelength. They had the same values. They wanted the same things for their schools to look
Yeah.
like. And,
Yes.
one of the most successful ones I worked with, she really, I mean, she didn't do it by herself. And she always recognized everybody's hard work. Now, she had to do some tough moves. And she had to, I guess, encourage a number of people to leave
Yeah.
because they weren't there for the right reasons. But she persevered, and there were a lot of tears and a lot of um, frustrations and sleepless nights for her. But in the end, she has one of, I'm trying to figure out how to even write her and her school up in some type of article because the transformation that has occurred at that school truly is about the culture of the school.
Mm-hmm.
And she really changed it to a mindset of all of these kids can learn. That's
Yeah.
really just the bottom line. Nobody was ever mean in that school. That wasn't the problem. Just nobody ever thought the kids could do anything.
Yeah.
And it took her 3 years, but she really changed that mindset. And she only looks for people who she feels can support her mission.
Right. Those are those constituents. Everybody doesn't have to be a confidant, but you need
Yeah,
constituents that believe the same thing that you believe. And you got to get rid of the comrades, the one that don't believe what you do, that are just the enemy of your enemy and will abandon you. But
but your first job may not be like that.
yeah, your first job is generally going to be will be the worst test of your career. And that's why it's called the glass cliff. You're on the edge from day one. Now, I was so pleased that I didn't hear Dr. Neal say family, because one of the biggest mistakes, you heard her say that some people had to go. She had expectations. So here's the problem with most people when they think about culture, when they're new, they think, well, we're going to make this place like a family. No, no es bueno. Don't do that. Because here's a wonderful article about why not to do that. Let me share this one with you. Don't think, well, I'll just tell everybody it's a family. No. Here's the problem with the family deal. Um, get out of that one. Why companies, I like this lady's article, why companies should not, and I like this written from the perspective of a woman, especially here, why companies should not aspire to be like a family. Don't make this mistake as an emerging leader, as your first time out. Here are the problems: establishing fixed roles. When you're in a family, I mean, you have a role. Everybody has a role that's fixed, and the problem is that creates a lack of accountability. Established fixed roles means that everybody's got a job here. Family, we can't kick you out of the family. And you got a fixed role. And then that means, well, we got to live with you. We have no accountability, or you have none. And encourages a cult-like mindset. Again, You don't need everybody to be your confidants, to be your best friends, BFFs, and go to the office and close the door and drink coffee and gossip and do all that. That's what we're talking about. It becomes a cult when you do that. So here, these are the three things you got to avoid. This notion of a family when you get that first job. Again, there are no fixed roles. Everybody's got to be accountable. Some people can't, some people got to get voted off the island. Um, and you got to stay out of, everybody has to be your confidant. And where you've got this little group of, friends of the principal person that everybody else hates, and it becomes a cultural nightmare. You got to move away from that stuff. So those are things not to do. All right. In that vein as well, and I'm having a senior moment as to where I put this. Let me see. Let me see if I can go here. See if I can find it here. I'm a big fan of Hertzberg. Um, and so I found a wonderful article, and I've already used it one time, and I don't know how I've lost it, but I will find it. Anybody, tell me about Frederick Hertzberg from 1959. Anybody know who Hertzberg was? All right. Hertzberg is the most important person that in terms of motivation to stay or go. Let me stop my share and let me do this right quick. Anyway, so Hertzberg may be one of your major theorists for your dissertation, but you've heard of Hertzberg theories of motivation, motivators and hygienes, which we roughly refer to as satisfiers, dissatisfiers, things that make you stay, things that make you go. From a personnel sense, most important person in the history of HR, human resources, in terms of why people stay and why people go. It also speaks to, it really helps us on leadership. When we do Hertzberg dissertations, we really like to see, 10 recommendations. We need to see if we're doing 10, 5 of what we need to do more of or start doing, but we need to see 5 that we need to stop doing or do more of. You've heard me talk about that. No amount of it's not a continuum. It doesn't balance. No amount of letting you wear jeans on Friday makes up for a 2-hour faculty meeting on Wednesday. You've heard me say that a dozen times. I found this wonderful article. Let me find it right here. And it ran through some more things. It's a lot smarter than me. 21 things to stop doing. No, here we go. Oh, I love it. Love it, love it, love it. All right. So here, let me go back. It disappeared. I know why it disappeared now. It's one of those time deals, but I've got it back. We'll keep it for a while. And this is kind of my last as we go into as we go into Reverend Jake's this morning. Let me share my screen. All right. So this kind of summarizes, kind of hits on all the things that we've talked about this semester about this kind of thing, about becoming a leader, giving you a crash course into leadership. We've told you 1,000 things to do. We're at the end now. I need to do the Hertzberg half, the things to quit doing or don't start doing as a leader. Leadership again. Hertzberg says things that make people stay and things that make them go. We only focus most of the time in leadership on the things for you to do. We teach you all these theories, do all these things. We never say quit. Stop. Here's the things you need to quit or not do. I love this article and it summarizes most of them. Stop organizational politics. We've talked about that, the playing of the politics. You need to get out of that business. Let's see. Let me move that out of the way. Where we have hidden agendas, where we don't have clear rubrics for how people get evaluated or move up or down in the organization. Again, that's back to that, friends of coffee click. You have your little confidants. Get out of that business. Stop setting unclear expectations. You know, when you see the action plans that I do, I always include two things in them. I have goal and indicator of success. Anybody know why I do that for an action plan? The reason why I do that is so we'll set clear expectations that are reasonable. Say you're in a school and your reading scores, your percent proficient is 55. I mean, you're getting close to that, to the edge, but you're at 55. Then your district's goal is 85% proficiency. Is it smart to tell your teachers, we got to get from 55 to 85 this year? How many times have you heard that, though? I mean, they ought to make people like that wear helmets and signs. They're just dumb. They don't understand that. They don't understand normal distributions or standard deviations or any of those kinds of things or probabilities. In state testing, either in North or South Carolina, how many points is on a 100-point scale that they report these scores on? How many points is a standard deviation? Usually 5. What's the chance that you could make more than 2 standard deviations? What's the probability? It's what, 0.3 of 1%? 99.7% of all scores fall within 2 standard deviations of the mean. Now, it's very hard to get 2 standard deviations. The normal accepted amount of variance that we'd be looking for in scores would be 1 standard deviation. That'd be 5 points. So if you were at 55, what should your expectation for your faculty be for the next year? That would be 60, not 85. Eventually, we would like to get there. But the probability of that happening is only, a third of 1% that we could get past 2. That's 10 points right there. But to get to 30, you'd have to do, like I told you about the high school principal, just copy the test and hand it out. And remember, they copied the test and handed it out and only got to 85 that way. That, made it the study guide. And their scores were only at 85 and they handed it out. So again, have clear expectations, but reasonable expectations. Don't fall into that trap. We will, if, like in the beginning of accountability in North Carolina, I went to the initial, regional. I was a principal in Burke, so I went to the regional one meeting about accountability, about the state report card. When we first started, it was in Hickory at Hickory High School. I'll never will forget. Lou Fabrizio was the one who did the session. I don't know if anybody remembers Lou. And they said, well, how do we expect to get, to start getting scores to get better. And it was like, we'll just tell teachers, that we won't hire scores. Well, what's the how, how do we do that? They said, we'll just tell them that, we don't know what to do to get the teachers to score better. We'll just tell them we'll fire them if they don't. That was said out loud. We don't know how to get better scores. We'll just tell the teachers they have to do it. Well, what you're saying is you got to cheat. And that's widespread. I mean, when you say you've got to make 6 standard deviations in 1 year, the only option is to cheat, copy the test and hand it out. And as I said, the high school barely made it. They copied it out, handed it out, and they still only made 85. Not a brilliant bunch in Boston. So
Like
that's what we're talking about. Clear expectations.
When we work with low performing schools, we never tell a school, I mean, yes, the goal if you're an F school is to get to a B or a C, but that doesn't happen in
overnight.
No, I mean, it is small increments.
And the problem is, to kind of end this rant, if you're that person that says, I can inspire and motivate, I'm a transformational leader, I can inspire and motivate them to greatness, rah, 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 and tells their faculty, you can make 6 standard deviations, they know that you're the village idiot then. You've lost all credibility. And even if you get lucky, something happens good for you later on, even a blind squirrel finds an acorn every once in a while. You become categorized as somebody who is not, that we can't follow, because you're not being reasonable, rational. You're gaslighting us. You're lying to us intentionally. We will not follow you. All right, let me share my screen and get through the rest of these. I'm keeping an eye on our time here. All right. Stop unnecessary rules. Oh my Lord. Educators love that. Another rule, another policy will change behavior. It will not. We've talked about that. Don't get on the loudspeaker and tell everybody to come to work on time if one person's late. Stop unnecessary rules you don't need. Let me see if I can do it right now. All right. I refer to a Rube Goldberg machine all the time. I don't know if y'all understand what it is or not.
My children had to do Rube Goldberg projects in elementary school.
I love that. You create an incredibly intricate machine to do a fairly simple process. Here's a self-operating napkin. That's what we're talking about. All these different moving parts and things that have to happen. That's metaphor, of course. Let's see. There's one that the kids made. That's exactly right. There's one that kids made. That's what we're talking about here. Incredibly complex systems to do with simple things, because the more rules you add, the more policies you add, in order to try to avoid having critical conversations with people usually. And so again, stop unnecessary rules, stop unnecessary policies. That's policies, mostly what that is. Stop poorly designed work. That we're gonna fly. We're gonna build it as we fly it. How many times have you heard people tell you that? We're gonna figure this out as we go. Don't ever do that. If you don't know what you're doing, don't start. That falls under Dale's axiom: the best way to get out of the swamp, don't get in it. Don't start if you don't have clear goals and objectives and know what you're doing, have a pretty good plan and know how you're going to assess it. I am a formative assessment maven. If you don't start any project, any program, any staff development, that you don't know how you're going to assess it along the way if it's working. I don't care what it is. You need a formative assessment, and that's of the adults. Is it being implemented with fidelity? What are we doing? We saw an example of that in the last case study yesterday, where the principal didn't know if she was implementing with fidelity or not, because she didn't have in her assessment going down there and actually looking. You know, it's just like, I don't know. I mean, when you have a litter of puppies, you just have, you want to know what gender they are. You just have to lift their tail and look. I mean, you got to have a plan. I mean, that's the whole idea is you got to have a plan. If you're going to put any program in place, you got to know how you're going to assess it. Um, Stop unproductive meetings, oh my Lord. Um, Stop the lack of follow-up. We've talked about this. Stop the constant change, changing every year. Curriculum people are, this is for you, curriculum people. Y'all have meetings all the time. Y'all meet to do your work. Now, you need to meet to plan and organize your work, and then go do it. The meeting is not the work. Um, Lack of follow-up, never hear back. Stop the constant change. You go from one thing to the next. And then, now this goes back to my tribe. Stop the internal competition. We'd rather fight than eat on my side of the fence. Y'all would rather meet. We'd rather fight. Stop all that. It's not good. The cream does not rise to the top. Stop being dishonest. That's what I was talking about before. Employees won't follow you. If you're lying, if you're disingenuous and you tell them we can make it, we can do it, and all that. No, stop hypocrisy. You got to do what you say that you're going to do. Stop withholding information. Of this is the biggie. Don't treat people like mushrooms. I know, information is power, but you need to make sure that everybody is fully informed of what's going on. Stop being unfair with all your policies, where you punish some and reward others through your policies. Stop discouraging employee ideas and suggestions. Stop criticizing. Stop underutilizing your people. And that goes back to the old situational leadership. The application of task and relationship behaviors, where you automatically assume that new people are low in task and relationship, that they don't know what they're doing, and you don't give them things to do based on their new, which is time, rather than their talent. So, for example, I know an organization where I think 6.5 new people were hired, and the word is we didn't give them this to do because they're new. I'm like, but if you didn't give them that to do, it should be based on they haven't had any practice, or whether they can do it or not just because they're new. That's what we're talking about here. When you underutilize people, that's that fixed roles again, back to that family. Well, he's always just done that. We don't let him or her step above. They're new, so we're not going to let them do this. Talent needs to be your driver, your motivator as a leader, not time. It shouldn't be about time. It should be about talent. And if you base your organization on time, you will underutilize your people. Stop tolerating poor performance. Again, go look. Stop taking employees for granted. Stop being invisible. Stop over controlling. Stop taking benefits away, and stop forcing employees to do poor quality work. And that last one basically is putting them in situations like we talked about yesterday, where you have, Natalie and I kind of talked about this, where you've made some decisions at the central office level, where you put teachers in situations where they can't win for your politics, for your positions, because you moved money somewhere else and left them out there hanging. Like in Hope County, instead of giving the high schools an assistant principal that so that they could cover the supervision of their building and ball games, we had 6 directors over at the central office paid on the local budget. That's the kind of decisions that we're talking about that lead to poor performance, but you can look at those at the school level as well. All right, and so then get rid of that. Okay. And then the last document this morning, and I love this one, it kind of summarizes, and you folks ought to really be excited about this one. Dispelling the myth. what the research says about teacher professional learning. I'm a big believer in PD for teachers. Professional learning is a waste of time, myth one. No, it's not. If it's done correctly, if you do it right, it's a great thing. Again, back to that myth too about time, that your effectiveness is, or what your needs are based on how long you've been there rather than your skill set. Myth two is PD is more effective for early career teachers and less for veteran. If it's right, if it's good, it's equally successful for each of those. Programs must be job embedded and time intensive to be effective. No, no. The best PD that you do is in your, it is kind of almost semi-formal or informal MPLCs. It doesn't have to be a big over-the-top production of all day long PD whole group. That's the least effective. Whole group should never be more than about 30 minutes. Here's the big ideas. Now we're going to break apart and go do it. I see way too much whole group professional development. Improving teachers' content knowledge is key to improving their instructional practice. No. Knowing more math won't help you be a better math teacher. Knowing how to teach math will. And here's an idea. If you want kids to know more, teach them more. They won't just learn because you make them behave. People have that notion too. But they have two bad notions on kids learning. One is teachers need to be more content experts. Some of the worst teaching I've ever seen. You walk around Gardner Webb, all these people that are content expert that don't have any teacher training. Oh, it's brutally bad. Brutally bad. Same way in schools. And the second part of that is that we can do things external to teachers being able to teach that will, if we'll make them behave, if we'll make them wear a uniform, they'll learn more. All these things that are just completely idiotic. If you want kids to learn more, you have to teach them more. And to teach them more, it's not about content. It's about you as a practitioner, or it's about the teacher as the practitioner. So these content-based programs that you see, no. It's, you need to make sure that they understand how to manipulate those high yield strategies, that they're actually teachers. Research-based programs are unlikely to work. That's not true. We know that. They're most likely to work. And then districts should implement research-based programs with no modifications. No, that's what we've talked about. Formative assessment, fidelity checks, adjust as we go. We do a lot of dissertation work. We do a lot of dissertation work on program evaluation, but usually we do perception studies of we try to assess them, because we talked about this yesterday. It's unethical to evaluate academic programs without outcome data. But where the real value, I think a lot of times the value in dissertation work is we don't wait, and we assess the implementation. How's this going? Is it working? What do we need to change? What do we need to modify? I think those dissertations in many ways add more value in a real life context than just coming in a pure academic sense, evaluating this worked or this didn't, and we write it up in a journal. No. For practitioners, I like to see us assess as we go so that we can change or do what we need to do. I think that's more relevant to leadership than a lot of the things that we do. Our video this morning, and I hope this will work, is from Bishop Jakes, and the transcript of this. Let me share my screen. I have it under today, and I have the long version and the short version. The long version is about an hour and a half. This is the transcripts, and he talks about these when you're putting teams together, or when you're you don't always get to go out and recruit who you want, but you need to know the people even that you inherit. You ought to be able to categorize them as either confidants, constituents, or comrades. and their role in your organization and on your team as you try to change your culture. So here's the actual transcript, and let's see if I can make it play this morning or not. I'll be just as surprised as you if this works. Some of this stuff out of the way. Here we go.
That we could not wait for the controversy to stop for the movement to go forward.
Did y'all hear that? Okay, here we go.
And so I thought it was worth telling you, since you might not get to talk to Andy Young, that you can't wait for the controversy to stop for your movement to go forward. You just got to let them say whatever they're going to say, fight them back, and keep on building. I'm going to borrow one of Paula White's statements and say, slap your neighbor upside the head and say, you're next. I'm going to go just a little bit further. Surely you ought to think that Jesus was a great leader. Watch Jesus when he says to his disciples, who do men say that I am? Here comes controversy. You're controversial, Jesus. Some say that thou art Elias. Some say that thou art Jeremiah. Some say that thou art Esaias. And you are so controversial that your enemies don't agree. Now that's when it's getting good. When your enemies don't agree, you're getting good. Then he says to his followers, who do you say that I am? Now, before I quote what Peter said, let me underscore that it is not Peter's statement that amazes me. It is not the statement of the one that amazes me. It is the silence of the 11. Who do you say that I am? 11 disciples said nothing. So often when you are in leadership, you are leading people who do not know who you are. If you can get 1 out of 12 to understand who you are, then you're doing as good as Jesus anyway. You're doing pretty good. If one guy will speak up for you and say, thou art the Christ, I know who you are. You're the president of this company. I know who you are. You're the mastermind behind this project. I know. Most people who are sitting under you don't have a clue who you are, and they don't value who you are because they don't understand what they have. And if you don't understand what you got, you can fool around and lose what you got because you don't understand the magnitude of what has been given. Again, to him who much is given, much is required. That's not just on the person on the stage, but it's also on the people who are following him. It is much required of you to follow somebody close enough to have a clue who you got. Somebody who's in leadership, you're leading somebody who doesn't know who you are, you're struggling to do it. Because you're being underappreciated, you're become frustrated. People will handle you any kind of way because they don't know the value of what they have. Temptation is to walk away from people you're trying to help who don't know who you are. One God says, thou art the Christ, the Son of the true and living God. I know who you are. I figured out, I have followed you long enough to know who you are. And on the basis of that knowledge, Peter gets to preach the inaugural message at the birthing of the church, because you cannot pass your mantle to people who do not know who you are. I don't have time to do this justice. Because look at Elijah and Elijah. And Elijah says, I want a double portion of Elijah's spirit. He said, no, not yet. You haven't seen enough. When you've gone through this with me and that with me and the other with me and that way. And if you're still here when I'm taken up, now I'm going to give you a double portion of my glory, because you can't have my mantle if you don't know who I am. Marriages are being lost because of it. Companies are being lost because of it. Family relationships are torn. Anytime you have any kind of structure and you have to lead people who don't know who you are, you're in trouble. I want to move on. Can I go further? This is my last Sunday to do this, so just bear with me just a little bit. The other thing I want you to understand that you have to have in order to be a leader is commitment. You have to be the last one to leave the ship. If you're going to lead, you have to hang tough. You cannot inspire people to follow your lack of commitment. You cannot inspire people to follow your lack of commitment. You cannot inspire people to follow your lack of commitment. People follow what they admire. You have to have the mentality that I'm going to be committed to this. And if you're going to be a great leader, do not commit to more than your competence. Have you ever seen people that volunteer for everything? I'm going to be in the choir, I'm going to be in the usher board, I'm going to be in this, I'm going to be in that, and then I'm going to be in that. I'm going down to Salvation Army, I'm going to do this. And their heart is so big that their head is shrinking. And in order to be effective, didn't they give you a visual? Did you say, but the wicked went to the well? That's what's happening to the brain. It's just shrinking. It's shrinking because anything you're in charge of, you have to be committed to. You have to be committed to it. If you're not committed to it, you're not going to be effective at it. And in order to be committed to it, you can't do it just for the check. You can buy competence, but you cannot buy commitment. Commitment has to come from the heart. It's a heart thing. It's not a check thing. It's a heart thing. It's not a check thing. And I want you to close the gap between where you get your money from and what you're committed to. Because if you're making money over here, but you're committed over there, eventually it's going to pull you apart. What you really want to do is be able to make your money where your commitment is, and then you will get paid for doing what you would do for free. Does anybody understand what I just said? That's a good old shouting point right there. Number 5, I want to talk about character. I want to talk about character because if you have commitment without character, you get Hitler. Commitment without character leads to all types of human atrocities. Anytime somebody is committed to something, but they don't have character to undergird their commitment, it leads to monarchies, it leads to travesties, it leads to degradation, it leads to slavery, it leads to all types of human abuses of every kind where people are committed without character. So do you have character enough to take the lead? Character to do what's right when everything's going wrong. Commitment without character leads to chaos. It is not so important. In fact, let me say it this way. You need to set some boundaries for yourself. Set some boundaries. It may not be important to determine what you will do as much as it is to be clear about what you won't do. So if you're trying to establish character, don't look so much at what you will do, because before life is over, in order to lead anything, you may have to do things that you never thought you'd have to do. You may have to sweep the floor and take out the trash. If you're going to be a leader, you may have to mop up the kitchen, even though you're the manager of the restaurant. You may have to do a whole lot of things that are not on your job description. So don't worry about what you will do. Character is determined by what you won't do. You say, I'm not going to sell out. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to take money out of the cash register. What will you not do? And the more you can determine what you will not do, the more we can get a picture of your character. Is there anything that you won't do to get ahead? ought to help you when you're dating somebody. Check out what they won't do. And if you want to know about somebody's character, watch how they treat people they don't need. Because people are always good to people they have to have. If you want to know whether their character is real good, I watch little things. Did you tip the bellman? Did you give something to the sky cab? Are you nice to the waitress? Because I'm trying to figure out who you really are. I know you're going to be nice to me because we're getting ready to do business. But I'm watching how you treat people that you perceive that you don't need. That is a sign of your character. Something is about to happen. 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 Normally, when I'm in this vein and I'm teaching along this lines, something always breaks out. Something always breaks loose. It's a setup for somebody. It's a setup for somebody. Somebody's getting ready to go to the next level. Doors are getting ready to open up for somebody. They're getting ready to break into another dimension. I don't know who I'm teaching. I don't know why you had to be here today, but something is about to happen before you do. I got to stop because I'm not supposed to be shouting, but I feel a good old Holy Ghost shout. I feel a shift. I feel a supernatural release. You know why? The last shall be first. The tail is going to become the head. There's going to be a shifting in here from the background to the forefront. Before you do, you got to get ready for it. Come on, clap your hands. Something's about to happen. I got one more thing to do. I'm going to get out of your way. Tell somebody, say, we got to build a team. 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 Because we're getting ready to go someplace we've never gone before. We're getting ready to do things that we've never done before. We're getting ready to ascend to a height that we've never seen before. We're going to deal with some conflict that we never had before. We're going to face some controversy that we never had before. We're going to have some conflicts that we never had to deal with before. But that's all right because we got some character. We got some character and we've got some commitment and we got some staying power. Now we're going to pick the team. These are the people that you're gonna ride with. You're gonna ride shotgun with. These gonna be your road dogs and your running buddies. Woo. My God, something is about to happen. I'm gonna show you how to pick your team. The Bible spends more time showing us how Jesus picked his team than it does telling us about what he did. Most of the Gospels is spent telling you how he met his team. Because it's all about the 12, not the 5,000. It's about the 12 choosing the right team. Now, can I give you some things for the right team? I'm going to give you these final three. Some of you have heard this before, some of you have not. I'm going to give you these final three criteria to choose your team. One, you're going to have confidence. Okay. You're going to have confidence. You got to have confidence. You got to trust somebody. You cannot be a great leader and not have anybody you can talk to. You got to have somebody you can talk to and be honest and be open and say, this is how it really is. I'm really stressed out. I'm sick of all of them. I'm frustrated. It's getting on my nerves. You got to have a confidant. Somebody with whom you can be transparent and be honest. Out of the 12, you got to have some inner circle that get close around you. These are the guys you carry up on the Mount of Transfiguration. These are the road dogs who run with you and they see you and they understand you and they're your confidants. And if you have 3 in a lifetime, you've done real good. If you have 3 confidants in a lifetime that you can really trust and talk to and open up to, you've done real good. So this category is your smallest category. They are your confidants. They are people who are with you. They are with you. If you go up, they're with you. If you go down, they're with you. If you get stuck, they're with you. If everybody starts dogging on you and hating you, they're still with you. If you have three, you've done really well. They know what you're afraid that somebody else will find out, and they're still with you. These are the people that being around them is so comfortable, you can behave as if you were by yourself. You don't get tired of your confidants because you don't have to change your behavior in their presence. The reason you get tired of being around people is because you're putting on. And you want them to leave so you can relax. But there is somebody that doesn't have to leave for you to relax because they're your confidants. They know who you really are. Oh my God, I'm teaching so good. I think I might get this tape myself. It is to you, not to your cause. It is to you, not to your cause. The confidant is in it with you because of you, not because of your cause. You are the center of their gravitational pull. And if you have confidants, you have to remember to feed your confidants you. Because the confidant is not in it for the money, they're not in it for the prestige, they're not in it for the recognition, they're not in it for the title, they're in it because of you. And if you start starving your confidants of your attention, they will wither up and die because their only attraction was not to the cause, it was always to you. I lost a very good employee one time over this because I thought the guy was coming because of the cause, and in fact, he was coming because of me, and it didn't work out well in the position because working in the position gave him less and less of me until he finally got frustrated and left. I thought he left over the money or left over the stress, and later when we did the debriefing, he left because he couldn't spend time with me. His commitment was to me and not to the cause. If you get that twisted, you will be feeding them things that would motivate anybody else, and they'll be withering because a confidant lives and breathes off of their relationship with you. Oh, this is good. The second category is your constituents. Your constituents. Your constituents are with it. They are with it. They are with the cause, not you. They are only with you because of the cause. They will confuse you because they look just like a confidant. They're walking right beside you just like a confidant. They talk the same language as a confidant, but they are there because of the cause and not because of you. These are constituents. Their attraction is the mission. Now, you can still have them with you, but you have to know why they're with you. They are with you as long as you are getting them closer and closer to the mission. And they walk just like the confidant, but understand that the constituent will leap out of your fellowship and jump onto another person's fellowship because it's helping to get them closer to where they're trying to go. It was never about you in the first place. It was about the cause. And if it furthers their agenda, they'll leave you in a heartbeat and leave you with your heart broken because you thought they loved you. They never loved you. They love what you do. And when they met somebody who can take them there quicker, they left because it was never about you. It was about it. Our constituents. These three categories are divided by motives. The difference between the constituent and the confidant is motives. They do the same thing, but they do it for different reasons. And the reason people get it confused is because they're both doing the same thing. They're both working. They're both standing right beside you. They're both in it to win it. They're both trying to encourage you. They're both fighting a good fight. One of them will be with you even if the cause goes down. One of them will be with you even if somebody comes and offers them a quick road to get there without you. But the other one, if they see a quicker route, or if they think it might be a quicker route, they will leave you in a heartbeat. Well, I'm not going to pick anybody like that. You cannot have a room full of confidants. You have to be able to work with people who come and go. Am I helping anybody? These are constituents. They come and go. They come and go. I like to call them scaffolding. Scaffolding goes right up against the building. It snuggles up against the building. It's so tight up against the building, you can't get in between the scaffolding and the building. But when the building is up, the scaffolding goes. Some people come in your life to get you to your next destination. They didn't come to stay. They came to leave. You have to love them when they come and love them when they go, and say, the Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. Don't get bitter over constituents. If you get bitter over constituents, it's because your mentality is still back up there on that back row. And you don't understand that you have to be a 360 thinker in order to handle it. I don't know whether I ought to give y'all this, my good stuff. Can I give you a little bit more of this? So you've got these constituents, and they come, and this is driving pastors today crazy, because past people today join churches for different reasons than ever before. Sometimes it's not their commitment to the pastor at all. It's not their commitment to him or his charisma or anything about that. Sometimes they'll join the church because the church feeds homeless people, and they have a passion for that, and they come and join their church because your church, because it doesn't have anything to do with your preaching. In fact, while you're preaching, they're out there handing soup out. And then when they leave, the pastor is angry. Get angry about that, man. Get angry. Thank God you serve some soup. God bless you. Let's try this. Let's try this. Everybody. Oh, you did that good. Oh, you did that good. You did that good. Now, can you do that and not be bitter? Because in order for you to stay pure as a leader, if you don't get this now, you're going to become bitter and cynical and start fighting and lose the thing that got you there in the first place. As a leader, you have to be able to rejoice when people come, rejoice when they go. You got to be even keeled, because you got to know you're going to have all those different types of people. You got to know that everybody that comes doesn't stay. You cannot have a love affair with a temp. She came. She was going to work 6 months. That's why you call temporary services. No, I'm not working. See, you got to understand what I'm working on. I'm not working on the people that are coming and going. I'm working on the leader whose heart is broken about the people who are coming and going, because you are feeling like you're up there, but you are living like you're right here. And I'm trying to get those things to come together, that you begin to get the mentality of the position that you're in. I didn't blow the kiss to be crass. I'm talking about the attitude of greatness necessitates that you do more than love when they come. You have to, for survival's sake, get to the point that you can handle people leaving. Neighbor say, can you handle the truth? And while you're going through this, God will let people leave you and leave you and leave you until he trains you. And after a while, he can leave you and you still be cool. How are you doing? Because you understand it wasn't about you. And when you have people in your life who are there for you, then you don't desperately need everybody in your whole world to be there for you. I'm trying to get you not to have a personal attitude in a professional situation. Because most people are living out their personal need in public places. Give me this tape. I'm taking this tape. Give me 2 of them. Okay, so we got we got what do we have? Confidants, and we got constituents. Number 3, we're going to do comrades. 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 I'm your comrade. I'm in the fight with you. We will not stop. We will not deter. We will not desist until we have destroyed. I am here to help you fight. I am not for you. I am not for your cause. I am not for you. I am not what you are. I am not for what you are for. I am for what you are against. I joined up with you to help you fight what you are against. Lord have mercy. Comrades, when you are in a fight and somebody joins you in the fight, don't think they're your friend because they joined you in the fight. It may not be their attraction to you that made them fight beside you. It may be their frustration against your enemy that says, even so, even you, so they are your comrades. The Pharisees and the Sadducees didn't even like each other. But when Jesus came along, they both got, oh, I can speak it in any language. The Pharisees, the Sadducees, they beat on each other for years. But Jesus came along. Jesus. So the comrades. Now watch this. Ooh. 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 Touch your neighbor, say, I see my team. 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 I understand now. Whether I'm running a beauty shop or a computer business, I'm going to have confidants, I'm going to have constituents, and I'm going to have comrades. And when it serves the purpose of moving what I'm the leader on forward, we'll hook up with to get to the next level. There's nothing wrong with that. Destroy you. The one thing you can count on a fight We got your character. You understand your conflict. You understand your constituents and your comrades and your confidants. Now you've done it. You have set yourself in the position that God was waiting on you to get in, to take you to the next dimension. Now you have done it. You have planted your feet firmly on the promises that you have inside. And you're now ready to go where none have never gone before and do what none have never. Now you've done it. You have determined that you're a blessed man or a blessed woman. And now that you understand that you are blessed, whatsoever you do shall prosper. Your leaf shall not wither. You're going to bring forth fruit in your own season. And everything you touch is going to prosper. You're not going to be set back by your fears. You're not going to be delayed by your emotions. You're going to from your
All right, we're back. Well, that'll get you woke up on Sunday morning. Um, Pro Deo et Humanitate, service for God and humanity. That's Gardner Webb's motto. We're not ashamed of our Christianity. And it leads us to the lessons from Bishop Jakes today. And these are my notes, and I'm going to give each of you the opportunity of what your takeaway was today. People must know who you are. They must know the values that you stand for. You know, my Gardner Webb trilogy is be a servant leader, live your life with integrity, be where you're supposed to be, doing what you're supposed to be doing, and live a life of faith. You must be the most committed person in the building. Um, you're not just there for the check, and know that um, when you need to be there, not just because you're competent, but because you're committed in the same thing in the people that you work with. Commitment without character is bad. That integrity piece. And then the three types of people around you. This is one that's so hard. You get your feelings hurt. This is a professional. This you can't have a personal attitude in a professional situation. Y'all tease me about, I'll be able to fire this one. There's got to be things that lines that you won't cross or people in your building. You must have things that you will not change your opinion about. That's one of those questions that you'll get asked in a principal interview situations. Are there values or beliefs that you hold that you just won't change? Absolutely, there has to be. Number one for me is you can't hurt kids. You just can't do that. Either physically, emotionally, sexually. You cannot abuse kids. You cannot do what the teacher did in the first case study. I mean, outside of physical or sexual abuse, worst thing you could do is fail a kid for the year, or take a kid out of their educational opportunity. That's why I said I know I probably couldn't, but I'd try, because there's certain lines you can't cross. You got to have commitment with character, and there has to be lines that you won't cross that people understand in the building that you're with. And again, you can't have a personal attitude in a professional situation. You can't get mad when people come or when they go. And sometimes you have to encourage them to or help them to do that. Business is business at the end of the day, but if you'll do it with integrity, people will respect that. Years ago, I had people say, well, teachers will get mad if you fire another one, whatever. Well, some of the good ones, the ones I want, will get mad if I don't. If I allow people to do ugly things to children, or be sorry and have moral problems and ethical and treat kids badly, the good teachers will understand that we can't have that in our organization. But again, back to the heart of the message today is that there'll be different. You'll inherit people around you. Your school is your team, not just your leadership team, but the people around you. And you've got to understand why they're there, so that you don't get your feelings hurt, that this is business, that you won't be devastated when somebody else leaves for a better opportunity. I had this opportunity once in my career where they opened a new school up in Charlotte, and a lot of my folks wanted to transfer over there, and I helped them all go because they understood when I came there that I was only going to be there 2 years. It was announced. There was a junior high that was going to convert to a middle school. I was a secondary principal in Charlotte, was assigned to that junior high at that time. Then I was going back to senior high, and I helped them make that transition. So why could I get angry that people wanted to leave? But my first year there, they had a better opportunity. And I was glad that they got to go. We all understood the deal. I couldn't be angry at them. And they all knew that when I left and went to the high school, I couldn't take them all with me. That wasn't part of the deal. And so they were my colleagues, but they were not my confidants, and I understood that. And you got to understand that business is business. You don't have to be as blunt as I am. I'm an iron fist, not even in the velvet glove. But I'm not saying be like me, but you can't. This can't be a personal thing in a professional situation. Dr. Neal, I'll go to you first for your thoughts this morning as we close out our course.
I did enjoy his message, because I think those are the things that make a good foundational leader, and you have to decide what you can and can't live with. My deal breaker was I left a couple of school districts because I did not have faith in the integrity of the superintendent. And I just knew that I could not, that's just not something I was going to compromise on. And I was only wanted to work for people who I thought wanted what I did, and that's what was in the best interest of children. So I do implore you to look deeply within yourself as to what's most important to you and what you can and can't live with. And then try to surround yourself with people who feel the same way.
All right, I'm going to go around the screen. Natalie, your thoughts this morning?
I think the biggest takeaway from him for me was like committing and knowing what you're committed to and only committing to what you can fully commit to. I think I'm an overcommitter sometimes. So I think that was a pretty good message that I needed to hear. And also that people need to know who you are, because you can't follow somebody that you don't know who they are. And I think that a lot of times we do just follow because we're committed to the school or the community. So a new principal comes in, and I mean, I guess this is speak for myself. We've had 3 principals in 4 years, and everybody just follows the principal, but yet we don't even know who the principal is. And so knowing who somebody is before you follow.
Very good. Thank you. Anne Marie?
I really resonate with the conversation about confidants versus constituents. Just had a brush with somebody who would happily have thrown me under the bus if it meant that she got ahead. And just that, thinking that that person also had the best interest of kids at heart and had that desire that they wanted to improve the situation in the school, but really they just wanted a leg up.
Yeah.
And it's a hard lesson to learn that firsthand. But I have come out of the situation understanding that there is no one I can trust but me. And my one close colleague who I work with daily, who is truly a confidant. But it's like you've got to be very, very careful of what you say, how you say it, who you say it to, because people who are out for themselves will manipulate those words and those ideas. And I can't be mad that that's exactly what that person did, because that was her goal. So I misinterpreted what that person was truly committed to. And so definitely this one's very timely for me.
Yeah. It's a good lesson to learn early in leadership, that everybody's not there for the same reason. They're not there for you. It's a hard lesson, but again, you can't bring personal feelings into a professional relationship. Mindy?
So I think for me, the first thing that made me think of was, what is my role for my admin and my leaders? So not just what is everybody's role that is with me, but what am I to them as well? That was the first takeaway for me. And then the second thing that it really made me wonder about was, I don't always agree with all of my admin's choices, and I'm not sure that they're fighting the same fight that I think that they should be fighting. And that kind of makes me think about my place with them, and if I'm in the right place and working with the right administration. And I also wondered, my husband's a pastor, if he maybe shouldn't have listened in too.
Oh, it's good advice for all of us in any walk of life. Yeah, you have to figure out, that's a takeoff on what Dr. Neal said. Not only are these lessons for us as leaders, but as followers too. Because we all have the same role. I mean, who are we following? Do we agree with them? Yes, we need to let everybody know who we are as leaders, but we also need to pay attention to who we're following, what kind of leaders and what are the priorities for them. Can you live with that or not? we talked about the difference in North and South Carolina. We talk about that fairly, they have two different perspectives. Can you live with that? If if you go to South Carolina, there's it's go to the room. There is no support, there is no onboarding, there's no professional development. It's just you go. We expect you to be able to do the job. Can you live with that? Don't walk into that thinking, I'm going to go here and it's going to be wonderful. It's a very singular life. There's not a lot of group effort. There's not a lot of growing and developing continuous improvement. It's just go to the room. If you can't live with that, then that's not for you. Well, I can double dip if I go to South Carolina, but it's a different culture. Do you match that culture or not? Is that what's important to you? Beth?
Yeah, matching the culture. I do not match the South Carolina culture. So it's a lot of comrades and constituents in South Carolina in the places I have worked. I have no confidants at all in South Carolina. That being said, in Connecticut, I had only a few confidants, but I had some confidence that I'm still in touch with. My ride or dies, and I still call them for advice about things. But yeah, his statement that the commitment without character is what gives you Hitler. Yeah, that just hit, and it's just there's a lot of commitment right now, and there's a lot of people who think they have character, but when it comes down to it, they don't. And yeah, I can't follow that, which is why I'm getting out and I'm leaving. I can't stand for the way it's going in South Carolina and what they are putting forth in their laws. And so I've hit my limit. I've hit my line in the stand and I'm out. So it resonated, and it's that comrades and constituents. I've been working with primarily comrades for 5 years.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And that takes a toll. You can't continue that. That can't be an ongoing thing. Alicia's with us today, and we're glad that she is. And she doesn't have any voice, and so I'm going to read her takeaway for us this morning. And thank you for being with us. Alicia says her takeaway is you must discern who's there with you, what role they're in, and align with you. Not everyone knows you, but you must know who you are and what your beliefs are. Still to your beliefs and stick to your beliefs and do what's right. That's what you have to follow that. Make sure you have the right people on board with you and discern who is not. Basically, who are your comrades and who are your constituents. Everybody's not going to be a confidant, but as TD Jake said this morning, the most important thing is who are your enemies, but they're with you because you have a common enemy. Because those people are the ones that will turn on you, as Anne Marie said, in an instant. They're only with you to help further themselves. You need to decide who that is. And thank you for that, Alicia. Heather?
Okay, so I am a recovering people pleaser, and I've made progress in the past few years with that. So knowing that, I kind of really took note of the don't have a personal attitude in a professional situation. And then the part about the comrades, and when he compared it to scaffolding, they might help you build, but then it's going to be removed. So I know that I'm not going to have to take that. I'm going to have to work hard to not take that personally. So that was basically my biggest takeaway, kind of just knowing like you said, knowing who each person is on your team and what role they have. So that was my takeaway.
Absolutely. And I'm sure you folks, y'all are so well read and so knowledgeable. I love working with smart people. Lev Vygotsky, the theorist, Social constructivism talks about scaffolding. It's not just for how we should be teaching kids, it's just how we should be learning ourselves as adults. There's a lot of good stuff in Vygotsky scaffolding theories that Heather just pointed out. And a lot of that helps us move ourselves away from that personal in a professional situation and not take everything personally and not try to please everybody. A lot of good stuff in Vygotsky. All right, Katie.
Mine was kind of the same as Anne Marie. The difference in knowing the difference in constituents and confidants, and how he talked about, they look the same on the outside and their actions are the same, but the difference is their motive. And I just find, sometimes it takes time to really see what someone's motive is. So I was just thinking like how, a lot of people you might have to hold back from and really figure out their motive before you let them in to be a confidant. Not that, not that you don't work with them or not that you're not, but it just viewing them as a constituent until you see for sure their motive.
Yeah.
Kind of my takeaway.
Yeah. To that end, one of the things that we talk about in organizational leadership a lot is watch what people do. Don't listen to what they say. Watch what they do. That will tell you who they are. And the corollary to that, again, there's always outliers, but the corollary to that is that people will show you who they are. You just have to be paying attention and listen. But how we do some things is how we do all things. Again, there's there's outliers to that, but pretty much what people do is who they are. They'll show you that, and that's who they are every time. They won't give you, people think, well, they did that to them, they won't do that to me. Wrong. If you work in a district that treats other people poorly, it'll be your turn. They just need you right now. But if they treat others badly, disingenuously, dishonestly, unethically, eventually it will be your turn. And that's when you've got to decide, well, I'm not getting it. They are. But you understand your turn's coming, because this is who these people are that you're working for. Your turn's coming. Andrew?
Yeah, I got a lot out of that. So one of the hardest lessons I had to learn very quickly was that a lot of times the people around you act like they have your best interest at heart, and that you can come to them with whatever and vent your frustrations, but I've had multiple occasions where that's been turned around on me and used against me. And so just being and I'm in the same boat as Heather that, when I did the Gallup strengths in Dr. Putnam's class, my last class I took for my doctorate, my biggest ones were empathy and so I'm a person that likes to please everyone, and that's just a very hard lesson to learn, that you can't do that. And there's always going to be somebody who's upset with you or disappointed when you're in a leadership position. Even as a teacher, there's always going to be someone that's going to be upset with you.
Done what you've done with integrity, and you've had, your commitment is with character, then you can live with people, not everybody loving you.
Right.
That's one of the needs you got to let go. But Stay true to yourself. Be a servant leader. Live your life with integrity. Be where you're supposed to be, doing what you're supposed to be doing. Follow through on the commitments that you made. And then finally, the point of Sunday at Gardner Webb, Sunday at the Webb, you must live your life with a foundation of faith. You don't have to be a Baptist. You don't have, but you got to have some faith. One of the pictures that we have, I'm going to go to, I don't know if I've done this picture or not, but I'm going to go to my pictures to end us up, and then we'll pray to end our day here. I didn't put all of them in our shell, but I did in some of the others. And so, if I can get this to work. This picture here, this is a Razan Almani. Razan is Muslim, but she has as much or more faith than any human I've ever met in my life. And so again, you must have a foundation of faith in your life to pull you through. Otherwise, you won't make it. Not especially in the world of leadership, where everybody's got sharp knives out all the time. You must have that foundation of faith, whatever it is. Let's see. I keep these with me all the time. I've had this one. This is a red Bible. Gardner Webb gave me this. I didn't go to school at Gardner Webb. Y'all know that, but they gave me this because Baptist church that I grew up in was part of the Sandy Run Association out of Gardner Webb. I've had this since 1977. This is my daily reader. Again, whatever your faith is. But now this one, I carry this one with me. It's on me all the time. I got this one in RAs. And if you could read the inscription right here inside of it, I've had this one, I'll bet longer than anybody's even been alive. I got this one when I was in RAs in 1966. February the 13th, 1966. I've carried this Bible since then. You can tell it don't look too good. Since 1966, I've carried this Bible. I was a young fella. And so you got to have your faith with you. I mean, these are just symbols, but you got to have your faith with you. I've had that one soon to be 60 years. And so what's important in your life, you must cling to. You must stick with it. Otherwise, you can't be strong and face the world. You've got to have those things. All right. So our prayer to end our course this morning, again, is part of you heard this morning. This is, I have my favorite prayers, and this is the one I always end this course with because it is from Bishop T.D. Jakes. So if you'll pray with me this morning. When you're down to nothing, God is up to something. Father, in the name of Jesus, bless me even while I'm reading this prayer, and bless the one that sent this to me in a special way. Open supernatural doors in our lives today. Save and set us free. Give us a double portion of your spirit as we take back everything that the devil has stolen. I appreciate you being with us this semester. I told you this is my favorite thing to do, to get to be with you. I believe that you folks, more than traditional LS people, are kind of the future. We talked about that yesterday, is you've got to have the administrative knowledge, but with the curricular background. I read your reflections last night and comments, and to fight the good fight, we've got to have smarter, more in tune to people with what school is really about, which is instruction. It's about learning, and not babysitting and ball games. And the only way that we're going to win the fight in the long run for public education is to have better curriculum people, better practitioners in positions of leadership rather than just politicians and managers. And as I said, when I left the principalship a quarter century ago, I was outdated even then as an operations person, and we still continue to employ those people 25 years later. We won't survive another 25 years if we continue to hire the managers and the politicians and the glad handers. We need curriculum people to be in charge in our schools if we expect them to survive. All right, Dr. Neal, you have anything in closing? And we'll sign off today.
Be a part of the group and to tag along with Dr. Lamb to learn how he navigates this course. And I agree with Dr. Lamb. It's our CNI people that will make the true instructional changes that will improve schools. And you all certainly have the passion to lead, and I wish you all the best. And if there's ever anything I can do to help you, feel free to reach out. But you guys give Dale and I hope that there are still good folks out there willing to lead and to make the changes. And you just have to persevere. It's not easy, but if it's in your heart and your gut, the kids need you. And I hope that you guys stick with it. You're a good group, like Dale said. He was correct in that you are a different bunch than some of the LS people, and very impressive. Very, very impressive. So
yeah, you warm our hearts to get to work with y'all. A lot of the folks on our side of the fence are just very self-absorbed and in it for the power.
yes.
Commitment without integrity, without character. You folks are in it for the right reasons. And that's the foundation you must build on. And that's what must become the leadership in our organization. My last thing is this: the course is over now. Thank you. I'm going to give you, all except Andrew, who's already done it. I'm going to give you a pep talk quickly on dissertation. All right. The course is over. I appreciate you. Now, this is a personal point of privilege here, so let me share my screen. My last picture. Have I shown you this one before? This is Winter Goodson. Winter's been with me for a very long time, and you can see she graduated, I guess it was Christmas before last when we walked. Yes, that'll be 2 years this Christmas. But anyway, Winter's been with me for a long time. But one of the folks that works with us, you can see she's as tall as I am. And that's important. That was her way out. One of the folks that works with us is Danny Stedman. Dr. Stedman was assistant superintendent in Robeson County. He retired. He's now superintendent of a little charter school there at Pembroke, Cities and Schools Charters, Communities and Schools Charter School. And Danny's on the board of the local community college, and he's just the finest Christian man you've ever met. What people don't know about him, he was high school principal in Robeson County at Red Springs. He had a student, her name was Winter O'Neill. If you kind of noticed, Winter's complexion was a little darker than mine, kind of a cafe au lait complexion. Winter grew up in a part of the world where there were three classes of people: black, white, and other. Winter is other. She's a Lumbee Indian. She started her journey that we know of at 14, homeless and pregnant. Let me say that again. 14, homeless, pregnant, and other, in a part of the world where other is as low as it gets in the caste system. You saw her graduate with her doctorate. She's principal in Wayne County. But not just, Danny took her in as a 14-year-old and raised her as his own. Pregnant, homeless, 14, other. But it gets better. She was 2 weeks away from her final defense when she had a massive stroke, had to learn to walk and talk again. But she persevered. Her life has been about perseverance. The whole notion here is getting through the dissertation, as Andrea can tell you, is a battle. It's about perseverance. But if Winter can do it, from all that she has had to endure, I FaceTimed with her on our phones from the ICU unit. She had to relearn, took her a whole year to come back to defend, but she did it. She persevered. So none of you has had a personal journey as difficult as hers. You can all make it. That's my final closing statement to you today. You can make it. I will send you a link to my spring Monday and Friday sessions. If you want to come and talk with me about dissertations on my Monday or Friday, I have times all day and into the evening on Monday, every Monday and every Friday that you can come and talk. And it's not a drop-in cafe. It's just you and me. You sign up for your time, and it's just me and you talking. If you want to bring somebody from your committee, sometimes I have students that bring their chair with them, and we sit and we talk. But you know, I'm here to support you. I'm here to support you in whatever that you need to do. I know I'm not your chair. Y'all are all in CNI, but you know, I have no problem. You're not wasting my time. I have hour segments. You can take 15 minutes. You can take the hour. It's up to you. Just sign up. I'll send you that link. It'll be in your email later today. Continue to put your work in, finish your evidences, make sure you get them into task stream. Again, I hope to see you in a couple of weeks at graduation. We'll get, we'll get the gang back together again. I think everything, I love this course. I love working with y'all. It's an exercise in my ego, I guess, but I think that again, I think you're our future. I think this group is our future. I appreciate your time today. We didn't go too much over that hour and a half I told you about. That's pretty good for me. So I will hopefully see you Friday the 13th at Gardner Webb. Be at Boston at 8 if you're going to do the general ceremony. Be there at 12 if you're just going to do the College of Ed. Make sure you have a cap and gown. All right. Anybody have anything else for the good of the group? All right. I'll continue to work in Blackboard every day, and I'll make sure that your stuff gets graded in task stream. So keep on working. You got until the 13th. Give yourself a hand. I've had a great time this semester. Thank you.
Thank you.